Welcome back to BibleGlimpse, the channel where we take a closer look at ancient biblical texts and give them a modern twist. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of Genesis 30, a chapter that's as full of drama as your favorite TV show. But instead of Kardashians, we've got biblical patriarchs and matriarchs. And instead of social media drama, we've got sibling rivalry. Genesis 30 is like the original episode of a reality TV series, complete with jealousy, baby-making competitions, and a whole lot of sheep. And no, those two don't combine. But before we jump into the juicy details, let's set the stage with a reading from the New International Version. Then we'll dive in with a comparison of how Hebrews and Christian perspectives view this chapter.
When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I'll die." Jacob became angry with her and said, "Am I in the place of God? Who has kept you from having children?" Then she said, "Here is Bilhah, my servant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me and I too can build a family through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son." Because of this she named him Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune!" So she named him Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy I am! The women will call me happy." So she named him Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too?" "Very well," Rachel said, "he can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes." So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. "You must sleep with me," she said. "I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Then Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband." So she named him Isaac. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, "God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Some time later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph, and said, "May the Lord add to me another son." After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children, for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added, "Name your wages, and I will pay them." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have worked for you and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household?" "What shall I give you?" he asked. "Don't give me anything," Jacob replied. "But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages. And my honesty will testify for me in the future, whenever you check on the wages you have paid me. Any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark-colored, will be considered stolen." "Agreed," said Laban. "Let it be as you have said." That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob, however, took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs, so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they mated in front of the branches. And they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals so they would mate near the branches, but if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. This concludes the reading.
Okay, let's break down the Hebrew and Christian views of this. From a Hebrew perspective, Genesis 30 takes us deep into the heart of ancient traditions. This chapter is a tapestry of lineage and fertility, where Jacob, the central character, is on a mission to establish a formidable family legacy. In these verses, we witness the intricate dynamics between Jacob and his 2 wives, Leah and Rachel, and their maids, Bilhah and Zilpah, as they navigate a web of relationships that would make even the most convoluted family drama seem tame. In Hebrew tradition, the significance of this chapter is undeniable. Bearing numerous children was perceived as a direct sign of God's blessing and favor. These offspring were destined to become the cornerstone of the 12 tribes of Israel, laying the very foundation of a nation that would shape history. It's as if Jacob, in his relentless pursuit of prosperity, is single-handedly constructing the future of an entire people. Now let's pivot to the Christian perspective on Genesis 30. In Christian faith, this chapter offers a profound lesson in patience and unwavering faith. While Jacob's journey certainly involves a prolific display of procreation, it transcends mere numbers. It serves as a litmus test of his faith in God's promises, a testament to the enduring belief that God's timing is always perfect. Christians may interpret Jacob's trials and tribulations as a reminder that in the midst of life's chaos, one must patiently await God's divine plan to unfold. So now that we got the serious part, let's have a little fun with the analysis on this. Okay, let's imagine Genesis 30 were a modern-day reality show. Jacob would be our main character, caught between 2 wives who are desperate to outdo each other in the baby-making department. Leah would be the underdog, constantly trying to win Jacob's affection, while Rachel would be the fan favorite, with her Rachel's Baby Bump merchandise flying off the shelves. And let's not forget the 2 maids, Bilhah and Zilpah. Sorry, these names are really hard to pronounce. They're like the quirky side characters who occasionally steal the spotlight with their unconventional baby-making arrangement. This whole thing is some bizarre love quadrangle with Jacob as the unwitting star. Now the humor in Genesis 30 doesn't stop there. We've got mandrakes, which were believed to be an aphrodisiac in biblical times. To give you some modern context, these would be like the equivalent of someone trying to use a dating app to win Jacob's favor. It's the biblical version of The Bachelor, but with mandrakes instead of roses. And the baby names. Oh boy, the baby names. Each child's name reflects the emotional roller coaster that Jacob and his wives were on. Reuben, which sounds like see a son, is like Leah's way of saying, "Hey Jacob, look what I did." Then we have Simeon, heard, which is basically Leah saying, Jacob, are you even listening to me? It's like they're using baby names as passive-aggressive messages. Meanwhile, back at Rachel's womb, she's struggling with infertility. So she's desperate for a child, and she pulls a modern-day Rachel by offering her maids to Jacob as surrogates. It's like she's saying, if I can't have a baby, I'll just outsource the job. And the competition between Leah and Rachel to have more children than the other one is like a never-ending episode of a reality TV show where they're trying to one-up each other in the baby department. Not only is Jacob dealing with the marathon of baby making, but he's having to deal with Uncle Crazy Laban here and, sheep and goat and a whole bunch of animal husbandry stuff going on there too. So, talk about stress levels. Think about that in today's world. Kind of think the TV series Yellowstone, he's running a ranch and he's got all sorts of family drama. Lucky guy, that Jacob. Let's imagine. In conclusion, Genesis 30 is a chapter filled with humor, drama, and plenty of lessons from both Hebrew and Christian perspectives. Whether you see it as a lesson in faith and patience, or a biblical reality TV show, one thing is clear. The characters in this chapter certainly knew how to keep things interesting. I hope you've enjoyed this insightful analysis of Genesis 30. If you'd like to see more biblical text get the modern treatment, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to BibleGlimpse. And as always, let us know in the comments which biblical chapter you'd like to see us tackle next. Until then, keep the laughter and learning coming. We'll see you next time. Thank you.